Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the roundtable discussion on balancing career growth and learning. The purpose is to share with you the perspective of current students about the BPGP, that is Blended Mode MBA at IIMA, a program that has been designed keeping in mind the flexibility you all need and the rigor that IIMA requires. We hope you will benefit from the discussion that our current students are going to have. And this discussion should help you in addressing many of your doubts that you have, whether you should pursue this degree, how will you balance your career along with an academic program that requires rigor, that requires effort from you. So with that thought in mind, we are going to start this discussion. So first we will introduce all the panelists, and post that we will have a roundtable discussion. So let me introduce myself. I'm Professor Chitra Singla. I am Associate Professor in the Strategy area. In the same frame, you can see two of my colleagues, Professor Joshi and Harish. And now I will request our panelists to introduce themselves. I'll start with Nikita. Nikita, will you please go ahead?
Sure, Naya. Sure, Professor. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nikita. I'm a chartered accountant by profession. Currently, I'm working with one of the big four consultancy firms. I have around 8 years of post qualification work experience in the field of transfer pricing, which is part of taxation. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Nikita. Ishan.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Ishan. I'm in the consumer and retail goods sector. Currently, I'm managing marketing for an e-commerce company which specializes in the sport of golf. And I have about 5 years of work experience right now.
Thank you. Ajit.
Thank you, Professor. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ajit Nair. I'm also a chartered accountant, and I have about 13 years post-qualification experience across education, consulting, and corporate finance. And so glad to be here.
Thanks. Himadri.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Himadri Harshit Pandya. I work with the Intellectual Property Office, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India. Prior to that, I've worked as a data engineer, and coming from a techno-legal background, really hoping to hear from all of you. Thank you.
Thanks. Sai Hitesh.
Thank you, Professor. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm a data scientist by profession, working in petrochemical refineries with a total experience of 7 years. So I've done my master's in chemical engineering. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Kishchi.
Thank you, Professor. Warm welcome to everyone, first of all. My name is Dr. Kishti Thakkar. I am a critical care specialist, a doctor by profession. I'm also a law graduate. And then right now I am working as a medical director of a multi-speciality group of hospitals and education and para-educational healthcare institutes. Along with that, I'm running an NGO, multi-sectorial NGO, working for the upliftment of last 10 of society.
And she is a mother of 1-year-old child.
Yes. And currently a BPGP program, the first year.
Yes. Ashwath.
Thank you very much, Professor. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ashwath Verma. I have a total of about 9 years of work experience spread across both building and leading operations within services marketplaces and fintech firms. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and thanks to our panelists for taking out time for this. I know you are already on a tight schedule, and it's very kind of you to give us your time to have this very candid discussion. So my first question to all of you is, why did you join this program, right? What were the factors that you considered to enroll for this program? Was there certain apprehensions? Was there certain requirements on the job front, personal front, anything that you would like to share? Maybe I'll start with Ishan first.
Sure. So I've always been in a sort of in a startup environment, working in small teams, and you think that you know the ins and out of business, but when you actually start exploring and you see that there is just so much to business which you just know even maybe a minor surface of, right? And I think that's one of the key reasons why I ended up applying and eventually joining the BPGP program, where I wanted a formal structure of business understanding so that I can take my existing business forward and also help advance my professional growth.
It's great to know. Kishti, would you like to comment? What was your criteria?
Sure, ma'am. I'm actually managing my hospital since last 5 years, but what I learned was through my experience and my seniors, my colleagues' experience. I always thought a need of having a formal education. And of course, having it from the best, the IIMA is the best thing to have it. So that's the thing that motivated to have the all-round knowledge of the management aspects.
Okay, Ashwath?
My reasons are broken into three. First one being I had a very rich experience of getting to know how execution works on ground, but somewhere I always felt I lacked the depth in business understanding on why things were done a certain way, why were certain strategies picked over others. I felt that was missing through my work experience. Second, I didn't want to stop working. I wanted to work and learn. And when I was contemplating the idea, there weren't a lot of avenues that allowed me to do so. Thankfully, I stumbled upon the PPGP program and I knew it was the right one. And third, of course, was a desire to learn at India's premier management institute, which is IIMA Ahmedabad. And this was an opportunity I couldn't turn down.
Yeah, Himadri, any thoughts?
So my work expertise usually belonged to only two sectors, which was IT and techno-legal, that is law. And I really wish to have an all-rounded exposure to multiple facets because coming from the government, those two aren't the only aspects that we deal with. We also deal with public policy and we work real time. We study macroeconomics as one of our subjects and we had the budget. So everything worked in real time for us. It is really helpful in getting a diverse amount of knowledge that one can think of. Thank you.
Ajit?
Thank you, Professor. So a lot of my batchmates said a lot of things that I agree with on why an MBA in particular. So I'll just focus more on why I chose the BPGP. For me, as well as a lot of others my age, after a certain point in your career, when you want to do an MBA, the opportunity cost of not working for 2 years actually starts to become much a bigger consideration than the fees or moving to another city. And so I had actually given up on the idea of an MBA until my wife showed me an ad for this program, and I'm glad I took it up.
Good to know that. Nikita?
So I echo with what Ajit said. So right now I have a executive managerial role, and I had a very lean professional life. This was the right time I felt that I wanted a step up and a career advancement, and what better than having pursue a management course, and that's how I came across this program, and I felt this was the right thing, and that's how I took it out.
Hitesh?
So I've been into this engineering and artificial intelligence and machine learning, but I wanted to expand my horizon. I wanted to understand how business actually works. And in addition to that, I also wanted to take up leadership roles. So for that, I wanted a business knowledge which not only takes care of the technical expertise in terms of engineering, but also understand how the business works. So on why BPGP, again, I am also married, so I don't want to leave my job. So I wanted this flexible learning where I can work as well as study with same rigor.
I'd like to know that all of you felt that there was a requirement, you felt a gap in your current job profiles that you really need to upskill yourself. That was the natural way forward for you, and this blended mode gives you a flavor of on-campus life also, and also work or learning from your home environment. But usually, when these classes happen in the evening, post your office hours, and this is not a small commitment, it's minimum 2 years commitment. Usually it requires a different kind of thought process that I want to jump into it. And everyone knows that IIMA Ahmedabad is known for its rigor. right? So I'm just curious to know that what kind of factors played role for you to muster that courage that, yes, I should go ahead with it. One is, yes, there is a job requirement. I understand that. Also, the need to upskill, need to go up the leadership rank where this program can help you. But was there something else, some other factors which you considered that I can go ahead with this 2 years commitment? Practically every evening of mine will be dedicated to this program for next 2 years. Any thoughts, Kishti? Would you like to share first?
Sure, ma'am. The first and foremost thing is, of course, the inner hunger to have more education, because that is the only thing that will keep me going on. Family support, peer support will always be there, but then there will always be a moment that I'll have to juggle between the social life and the work life and the education. Then it's upon me. I have to do time management and I need to focus nicely to get the best education out of it. So the dedication that is inside me is the only foremost thing that helps me to keep on going.
Ashwath, any other factor that helped you for this commitment?
Professor, only two of them, and I'm going to break them into that. I experienced them in two periods. One was before coming on campus for our first on-campus module. Before that, I think it was the conviction of my family and the support I had from them that gave me the confidence that I can see this through. The first on-campus module that we had as a batch is what really invigorated that fire in me that, I have to go above and beyond because I'm surrounded by so many smart, accomplished people whom I can get, so much knowledge and so much to learn from. So that was a big driving factor, and it continues to be a driving factor today, in my case.
Okay, Ishan?
So definitely, you have to learn how to manage your time well, and you have to, focus on the task at hand. But when, as just Ashwat just mentioned that, visiting the campus for the very first time, you have a lot of thoughts. Maybe it can even lead to sort of overthinking. And as soon as I started meeting the batch, I was worried, what will this sort of, how will the people be and stuff like that. But not one, it hasn't been a single day that I've felt that, oh, like these guys are older to me or they're more senior, or, they actually end up supporting you. You get to learn so much from the batch itself that, it really, how do I say, it really like justifies why you're putting in so much work, because you have people to look up to. Because I'm on the younger side of the batch, right? So I definitely can look up to all these guys who are guys and girls who are older than me and say, okay, this is who I want to sort of emulate and be like. I think that can justify all the work you put in.
Well, that's interesting to know that, sometimes you muster or you get courage from your cohort when you see, okay, we all of us are in this together, and that drives you. And was there or is there a particular strategy that has been working for all of you to manage your career, the job requirements, the family requirements, and also IIMA's course requirement? Nikita, would you like to comment on that? Any particular thing? How are you balancing everything?
Right, ma'am. So basically, what I have to do is I prepare a very structured study and work schedules right at the start of the week. This as a cohort or as a sections also we practice that every Monday, the people will put all the readings and all the upcoming quizzes and pre-reads that we have to do. So that is given to everyone at the start of the week itself, which helps us prepare well in advance how do we progress with the week on terms at the study part. At the work front also, there has been more proper planning wherein I try to set up more important client meetings or client visits, etc., at the first part or the first half of the week rather than keeping it parked at the end of the week. And that has made a lot of difference, and it has also been acknowledged by my seniors, and that has helped. Basically, this proper timetable is what I've been able to. I'm doing it.
Okay, Ajit, any particular strategy that has worked for you to balance your career as well as this learning journey?
Yeah, certainly, Professor. So One thing that really stuck with me right from our first day on campus, I believe it was Professor Jacob who said it, was that your bosses and your peers and your family are actually very much active participants in this journey with you, and bringing them on your side, wanting them to want this for you, is actually a very very important and helpful strategy to managing your time, managing expectations, right? So having a word with them early on what you're going to do, telling them how much it means to you and why you appreciate them helping you out or meeting you somewhere in the middle, that's something that helps with expectations. As far as schedules are concerned, what Nikita mentioned, you have to have your ducks in a row. You can't just fly by the seat of your pants through this course.
Okay, Himadri, any tips?
And I think that I echo with same Nikita and Ajit, both of them. But I would like to give a more structured outlook on how does the cohort actually look at it. Mondays to Wednesdays are something that we have to ourselves, and Thursdays to Sundays are the class timings. But those Monday to Wednesday is something that the cohort meets up and discusses the whole schedule together. I personally believe that working alone and working in the group, it usually is something that we call as Ubuntu, that I am because we are, right? So the whole cohort works up together and creates a sense of bonding and learns as well. So the whole lectures from Thursday to Sunday are something we really look forward to. Of course, with the support of family, friends, and the employers, it's really have been smooth.
Great to know that. I like the use of the word Ubuntu. Yeah. Hitesh?
One of the key thing which this program has already inculcated within me is how to actually manage your time in an effective way. So I make use of my free time, whatever I have during my work on reading these cases. And in addition to that, as many of them said, we also have these pre-class discussions within our cohort. So that's the beauty of having a diverse cohort where we meet, we share our thoughts and ideas before the class on case studies. So that way we are well prepared before the class.
Mhm. Looks like pursuing this program is like an active class on stakeholder management for each of you, right? Bosses as stakeholder, company as a stakeholder, family as a stakeholder, yeah? And then IIMA also as a stakeholder. That's very interesting that how pursuing a program automatically is teaching you stakeholder management as well as time management. And I'm sure that is automatically leading to stress management also. So, since all of you are talking about cohort and the support from cohort, right? Would you like to delve deeper that, what are you learning from cohort? I understand there is in-class learning, but a lot of emphasis is being given by all of you that as a cohort, you are with each other. So, what exactly are you learning from this diverse profile? Will any of you like to comment on that? Ashwath, maybe you can go first.
Sure, absolutely. I think individually we come with our own mental models, our own assumptions, our own perceptions, and our own ways of looking at things, at problems, on how they should be solved. And we believe that that is the only way it can be done. What's What's amazing is when we get together as a group, there are so many diverse perspectives that come to the fore, and you are left wondering that there were so many perspectives that you did not look at. And I think what facilitates this in our cohort, especially because the age range is anywhere between 24 to 49 years old, is that when you're interacting with the cohort, you don't look at their age. You're looking at them like peers. So they make you feel very comfortable. And really are able to foster an environment where you question your own assumptions, you are allowed to question other people's assumptions, and that's how we iterate, learn, and grow.
Great. Ishan?
I would say something similar to Ashwath. I would just add in one more thing that, as mentioned before, we have these batch-wide case discussions. And, we have perspectives from so many industries. I've been in consumer and retail sector for all my professional career. I get to understand what a CA thinks. I get to understand what a professional doctor thinks, practicing doctor thinks. I get to understand what a lawyer thinks, right? I get to understand, what somebody in oil and gas thinks. So there's just so many, takeaways you have from one simple half an hour case discussion. And not just that, when you visit the campus itself, you're sort of staying on campus, you get to interact with them on sort of your free time. And I mean that those are the sort of learnings and sort of bonding which you get. I don't think which you can like match anywhere else. I think that's one of the greatest things which I've seen happening in IIMA.
Himadri, any thoughts on this?
So, as Ichan said, I fall under the very youngest people in the cohort. And what we do is we look up to people. We come across a great professional exposure. There are many areas for me that I'm untouched yet. And I am updated by everyone. I have a CA friend, I have a lawyer, I have everybody in my cohort, and everybody comes up together and builds this whole ecosystem of cohesive learning. And that somehow really helps everybody in the cohort. So it's not just you, it's also me with the 137 of others. And everybody speaks up as a same voice, everybody's heard. And the experiences that come across have a great taste. You carry it on for life. So that's one learning additionally from the cohort that we get.
Okay, that's great to know. But has there been anything that has been very challenging for you? Any of you would like to share during this journey? It has been, more than one term. You have survived one term at IIMA. Yeah. So any of you would like to share any of the challenges you felt, or that was very challenging, for me? Despite knowing everything, still sometimes some surprises come up, right? Any one of you? Yeah, Ajit?
Yeah, certainly. There are, I mean, it's no walk in the park. For example, while signing on, you do know that your social life is going to take a backseat. What that looks like in action is still some amount of pain. If you are the kind of working professional who's signing up for additional education while working, it means you're usually a go-getter at work. And a typical go-getter likes to give everything their all, right? But you can't give your all anymore at work. You do have to reserve some gas in the tank and some time, if nothing, for what you're going to do at IMA. So those are definitely challenges. Also, there are attitudinal challenges that some people do face. Like you are signing up to be a student again after many years of being an employee or sometimes a manager or a boss, and now you have to somewhere dig deep, find the humility to be taught again, maybe to fail a test and get told that you actually don't know enough, not fail but do really poorly by your own standards. uh, those that takes some amount of emotional reserve, and I'm glad I'm finding it.
Yeah, Ashwath?
I faced challenges on two fronts. First was attenuating myself to the schedule and the rigor of the program. When we came in, we were told that the first 2-3 months are like turbulence before a plane takes off. It's expected, get used to it, and soon you'll be able to get over it as well. So it took me um, a certain learning curve amount of time to align myself on how I need to go about carrying my day on efficiently so that I can manage all my responsibilities. There are things I had to say no to as well. But second was a mindset change that I had that, at my age, as Ajit said, at my age, am I ready to take on this learning all over again, start from scratch, and make something of it? Those were two very real challenges that I first faced early on, but ones that I was able to also get over in due course.
Okay. Ishan?
I'm actually a mechanical engineer by trade. I ended up in this current sector I'm in by chance, if you might say so. But going back to the engineering training you have, which you sort of where we all know how that education might take place, right? What ends up happening is when you join this course, I think you have to understand how to learn things properly, because when you read these case studies, it's not just about mugging up something, right? You are in fact doing your research and saying, okay, I have this problem in front of me. Which concept do I apply, or which combination of concepts do I apply so I can resolve this? And now I have to work with a group of 6 people or 5 people who will vary in ages and industries, and now you have to work together. So I think like maybe learning how to learn is something which you really get taught. You get humbled, honestly, being here.
Can you hear us?
Yes, Professor.
Yeah, please.
So just to add on to what Ishan said, yes. So in engineering, we are not used to study in this kind of a way where we apply all the theory which we have learned. Here, the importance would be on case studies where we'll be applying whatever we have learned. So that is something we don't see often in engineering. And in addition to that, since we are doing this in flexible mode or blended mode, so there are some expectations from family because we are not always in the campus. So that's something which is definitely a challenge, but we somehow have been successful in coping up with that.
Great to know that. So, how was your life before you started pursuing professional life, before you started pursuing this program, and simultaneous pursuit of this program along with your careers? Has it changed your professional life in any way? Kishti, would you like to comment, given you are wearing multiple hats?
If you would not have said the term professional, then I would have said it was more wonderful. Then yes, because we have to juggle up with so many things at one time. Although obviously, I chose the program because I wanted to. There was something lacking points that I felt which could be refurbished and nicely charmed by the IIMA program. So the current problem that we really face while having all these things together is how to actually manage time, enough time to a family. Especially I have a kid, very small kid, she's very demanding, and then I have a very high profession and working also, so I have to look after many things. Patients cannot wait, and so does the management cannot wait. But yeah, the professional life earlier was a bit lacking somewhere. That is the point that I felt. That is why we are here. And the real aspect is the professors are so helpful. Apart from the teaching part and the classes part, even if we are stuck somewhere in the practical life, professors do make sure to handhold us and bring out of that also. They do take extra sessions or answer our emails and help us to come out in that way also. So it is
Madhuri, any change that you see?
Definitely. So, my current professional life usually revolves around those two aspects, that is IT and IPR. And I really thrived well there. But being a curious person myself, that doesn't really sit well with me. So MBA was always in the books for me. And the job itself is also demanding. Just to facets of the domain doesn't really help you grow in the career. And that is something I really look forward to. So growth was always a requirement. A checkbox that is being ticked along with my job is something that BPGP really helps in.
Nikita, I would like to hear from you that are you able to apply learnings, whatever you have had so far in the program, are you able to apply those in the job you or in the work you are doing? The reason I'm asking this is because we have made this program very application oriented. So we would like to have a very candid view from you.
Certainly, Professor. So basically, I work in consultancy, and so there are a lot of leadership for motivational techniques which I've learned. And so in consultancy, at times the working hours and the work schedules and the timelines, it feels very overwhelming. And during such times, it's very important that you are motivated and also you help your team, be motivated. At times the team members used to come and they're like, "Hey, this is very unrealistic and I'm not able to do this," and there have been moral breakdowns, etc. But some of the learnings that I have learned is that you should stop asking the why questions and understand the root cause of the problem, instead of me asking and cribbing about the fact that, okay, why this is not done and it should have been done yesterday, and all of that. So I think that there has been a shift in the way I am approaching the workplace problems. It's more problem solving and collaborative thinking, and that has helped me. This is the learnings that I have been able to apply, and it is giving me. I feel a very positive change at that.
Hitesh, any thoughts on this? Have you been able to apply?
Yeah, so within one term itself, I'm actually starting to think of whatever we have been learning. So, for example, so in first term we had this subject called statistics, and I come from data science background. So in corporates, we usually see that the interest most of the time would be on deploying the models instead of actually understanding what happens in statistical background. So after actually learning the statistics course, I have taken a session in our company itself, and through which actually many of our team members who were not ready to take up client calls were actually feeling more confident now. They actually can handle clients and everything like that. And also, in addition to that, we also had a subject on storytelling. So that was something where I felt that is very important in terms of handling clients and taking client into our control. So that is something I have learned during this. And also there are many subjects like costing and control and everything where we actually understand how business operates and how the costing should be in a business. So in that way, it was really a great learning experience in terms of application.
That's great to know. Ishan, would you like to share?
Sure, ma'am. So, just like how Sai has become an expert in statistics now, almost, right? So, I'm not going to call myself an expert in marketing, but that is my interest. So, in term to rightly so, we have a subject on enhancing customer value. And, I had an opportunity recently, just about 2 weeks ago, where I had to use something I learned that very same weekend. I made the travel um, that night, read our case notes, formulated a strategy, applied it, and actually, I'm hoping to see some a little bit of a boost in revenue soon. So you start realizing that what they're trying to teach you is very, very applicable in the real world. It's just about stop thinking in terms of pure theory and start thinking about how can I apply this concept where you're working. So, it's easy to apply that concept, at least, in whatever we do.
Ajit, given that you have CA background, are you able to apply these management learning?
Yeah, Professor. So definitely, I do have a post graduation in commerce already, but it's always a new way of looking at finance. But I think a lot of the soft skills are the first ones that got deployed at our workplaces. I was just listing a couple down. Like first of all, like learning the value of campaigning for your point of view before a meeting. That's not something anyone has pointed out to me before I got into IIMA. So just learning the value of speaking to the various stakeholders that you're going to be having a discussion with, getting them to sort of sensitize to your point of view even before the meeting takes off. That's worked wonders for me. Second, I didn't realize that I had a professional network. I just never realized that about myself or about my situation. But IMA really sensitized that to me. Plus, it gave me a ready network of 137 high achievers from diverse fields across the country who are my batchmates now. And I've already started to make things happen for my employer, and I think they appreciate it as much as I do.
Great. So I would like to know that since all of you are talking about you are able to apply learning in your current job profile. So the reason we are able to make it very practice-oriented learning is our pedagogy, that is case method pedagogy. So the beauty of case method pedagogy is that they are real life cases with real business scenarios, real dilemmas that business leaders feel. Do you have anything to say about that pedagogy? Is that helping you more than what we are expecting it to be, or you see that that is also reading long cases requires a different kind of tackling? Ashwat?
Yes, the case-based pedagogy replicates the practicality of what we face in the real world outside. It's not about how thick the case study is. It's about the nuances that we have to tackle within that case to come up with the right outcomes for everyone. Uh, and that makes the concepts that we learn very easy to imbibe. Uh, and the retention of it is permanent in our minds. If you ask any of us on what we learned through term one and so far in term two, we can tell it to you as if it was on the back of our hand because we pursued it from the case-based methodology.
Okay, Nikita, any comments?
Oh, I certainly echo with what Ashwat said. Also, I feel that this case study based approach it's kind of bridges the theory and practical things that we really face every single day. Then it also kind of enhances our problem solving skills and also help us take better decisions. And like Ashwat said, that the retention is large, so I think that really helps in the overall scheme.
Okay. So when exams come and the group submissions come, right? The smiles on your faces are already giving away a lot, right? So how do you plan for that? Does that demand extra time? How do you take care of that you actually perform as per the expectations? Hitesh, would you like to go first?
Yes, ma'am. So in terms of exams and everything, as I said, since we have such a wonderful cohort, we make sure that we are learning together. So whenever we have any subject, we have this pre along with pre-class discussions. We also have this thing called pre-exam discussions. So we so just before the day of exam, though we have hectic classes, after that we make sure that we sit together and teach each of us. So we have also inter-cohort tutorials as well to those who are, I mean, feeling not comfortable with respect to any exam or subject. So that way, I again would stress upon the cohort uh, in terms of easing out our stress.
Oh, you mean to say some of the peers are ready to take extra kind of tuition or they are becoming your tutor wherever, you guys are getting stuck. I think that's great, In 2 years PGP, we call them REM sessions, and I'm very glad that all of you are able to figure that out. Ishan?
So, we've discussed about case studies, we've discussed about the cohort helping. I think, one, very critical aspect are the professors and their staff. Because what I have seen is, the way of teaching is so far different, and it's it's a very practical way of teaching. So and you should be paying attention in class. Pay attention in class, you're reading, you're prepared for the class beforehand. That is also something you learn in IIMA, that you have to be prepared for a class, don't just show up. So you're prepared, you've understood what the professor's been teaching you, you may have asked questions. In fact, in many of the exams we've had, I would say you're 70% of the way there if you're paying attention in class. Maybe that 30%, of course, the other stakeholders will help you out, but the classes are, and the way they are run by the professors are absolutely helpful.
But how easy or difficult it is to stay focused in an online class?
So I think meeting all the professors first of all on the campus before we actually head home and start doing this online helps you, because that what are their mannerisms and the way they're teaching you. there are many times we get cold called. So, that keeps you on your toes. So you're definitely focused. I mean, there are many instances possibly throughout the week where you sit down for a class, you don't realize that the class is already over 1 hour, 15, 20 minutes later. So, it's fast paced. There's a lot to study and you have to be focused. I mean, that's one of the key factors you have to do as a student.
Ashwath, any thoughts on this?
Professor, I would do a disservice if I didn't touch upon the previous point. Just briefly, one prescription we had received from our professors in the first on-campus module was to front-load prep as much as we possibly could. Why is that critical? Because today, when we are sitting in term 2, each and every single student will tell you they really want to participate actively inside a class discussion. And when it comes to assignments or quizzes, if you have done the fundamentals well, which is pre-prepped, you have discussed it with your peers, you have solved cases on your own and then gone in class, then these assignments and quizzes feel like reflections. They don't feel like an assessment or a grade that you're going into. And those assessments just fly. If there's any assessment or quiz where we had to struggle a bit, it has just been a symptom of us not putting enough effort or not giving it the due attention that it deserves. So I just wanted to make that distinction on the outset.
Great to know that. So I'm also reading questions which the audience is giving. So one of them is asking that how much time every day you give, in terms of studies or class preparation. Would any of you like to share? Madri, maybe I'll start with you.
Sure. So Thursdays to Sunday, we already have our lectures. Apart from that, I usually try to give, it's a routine. So I've made it a routine of myself that every day, every night after my job, before my job, I try to utilize my time, maybe while traveling in the metro, maybe while I'm having my dinner, those are cases. So I try to utilize the time while multitasking. So that is something that helps me in my approach. And of course, the class discussions usually that we have from Mondays to Wednesdays, set at a particular time so that everybody can be there. Those last from around 1.5 hour. So a daily from Monday to Wednesday, I'll say almost about 2.5 hours. Depends person to person, as of course. And from Thursdays to Sundays, we have almost 3.5 hours of lectures. Apart from that, 1.5 hour more is something that we all try to give in.
Okay. Anyone else who has a different take on this? Yeah, Ajit?
No, not necessarily a different take, Professor, but yeah, I mean, I would say we have about 10 hours of lectures during a week, and I would say it's a fair guess to say another 10 hours in the week is what you will need to give to the course, especially because one of the things that makes the end sem exam so much easier is that you are evaluated pretty much continuously throughout the term. So every Sunday you wake up to an exam and that exam will account for about 3 to 4 hours depending on how much you have front loaded your prep, to echo what Ashwath said. And then of course there is the case preps, and some subjects will be easier for you depending on your background and what your affinity is. Those subjects will take less work, or sometimes you are motivated to do more there. But yes, 10 is a fair guess for outside class prep for the week, across the week.
Okay. Ishan, you want to add?
Yes, just one small addition to this. So, we've spoken about the amount of time it takes, but you have to understand that of course you'll be going to work, and we do get tired. We do have to travel through traffic. Many of us live in tier 1 cities, so you do go through that, but ultimately it's the program, it's the history of the institution, and it's what you want to really strive for. You do give your best, because you have to push, you have to sacrifice on those small comforts in life maybe at times, and you do get the result as well, because whether it be class participation or doing well in your exams, you will see yourself improving as a professional and as a person.
Kishti, would you like to comment?
Sure, ma'am. As Shan said, it's a rigorous study that IIM Ahmedabad is offering. So you definitely have to give your best. It's not about the number of hours that you'll study. I'm sure we are here for the bigger perspective to gather the knowledge. If you give enough attention to class, that is not the only justice that you can give. You have to do pre-studies and post-studies also. That might differ person to person. But the only benefit that we have of a BPGP module is that you get to have your professions along with the study that you want to do. So rather than focusing on how much do we need to study, we should focus on the best part, that we need to carry our further professional aspects also along with the studies that we get. But roughly what Ajit and Himadri said, it roughly synchronizes the same ideas, but it may vary from people to people. And we have an amazing help from the cohort where we are lacking, they support us. Also, we have the amazing help from the AAs, not to forget them. The AAs always are there to help us wherever we get stuck, and the professors are also there.
So to the audience, AA means academic associates who help professors in administration of a course. Now, there's another question that I'm seeing coming again and again, that is this program preparing you for leadership roles? Somebody had asked during the chat question. Any one of you would like to share your candid view on that? Yeah, Kishti.
Of course, it does. Like, I am on that part, so I can really mirror that image. It perfectly blends you in all the aspects, starting from communication to finance, to marketing, to strategies, to planning and everything. It is the perfect course, I think, that is required for a leader who is already in the process of the leadership and then want to move ahead for that. So it's just mirror image.
Okay, Ashwath.
It's interesting that this question gets brought up today because we were just having a very pertinent discussion in the morning through our lectures on what sort of leaders do we need to become. We can be run-of-the-mill leaders who exist today, or we can be different kinds of leaders who bring a completely different dynamic to the table. And across each subject, we are pushed to think differently from a leadership lens, not from how the playbook is built, but what is the right way to go about executing leadership strategies that is a win-win for everyone. From that lens, there is a lot of learning that you have.
Ishan, would you like to comment, and why I'm requesting you to comment? Because there is another comment where somebody is asking that, how will it help an entrepreneur, since you come with that background? Maybe you are the right person to answer that query.
So, I work in a very young team, I would say. We are all under 30. And the founder of our company is actually just about reaching 50, right? So do I have a little bit of background, discussing with your seniors who are much older than you in age? Yes, I do. But would you get the experience of working with people of different ages and backgrounds? That I didn't have before I joined here, right? Because in your study group, it's replicated in a way where when you're working on a project, you have to take everybody's opinions and you have to take everybody's thought in the right way. And there are, by the way, natural leaders who come up based on the subject. So if it's a costing or a finance subject, you will definitely see a CA, leading the charge. If it's an operations subject, you'll see an operations guy, taking the charge. So everybody gets to be the leader, and not just that. If you are interested in a subject other than your core right now, you can do that as well. So it definitely helps you to bring out your leadership qualities in that sense, because everybody has to speak up and it's for their own good. So it helps you in the long run.
And here I can add from my own experience of dealing with entrepreneurs over the last 15 years. And I have specifically asked entrepreneurs that doing MBA or hiring MBAs in a startup, how has it helped them? And they do say that, MBAs bring a very structured approach. They bring very structured risk assessment matrices. And when that gets merged with a startup's agility, so it does wonders, provided the founder knows how to balance the agility and the structured or the analytical approach which an MBA can bring in. And I also firmly believe that, our program, especially IIMA's program, because IIMA has been very, very active in entrepreneurship space. I don't know many people know about it. We have a very active incubation center, one of the best in India, which has been there for more than 2 decades. Now we call it IIMA Ventures. And so there is a very live, vibrant section of our campus, which is full of such activities. So I think there is enough IIMA offers, in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of we also have an entrepreneur in residence program. So, and also I believe our curriculum is designed in this way that you certainly become a corporate entrepreneur. What does that mean? That your mindset becomes very entrepreneurial. You may not start a startup. You may not have a startup like that, but that doesn't mean that is the only entrepreneur who has a startup. Every leader needs to be an entrepreneur, and I think this curriculum prepares you in that direction. So my last question to all of you is, would you like to share 2-3 learnings which were completely new for you, when you joined this program and after whatever coursework you have gone through and you felt that, oh, this was completely new. I had not thought about it or I hadn't come across it. Hitesh?
Yes, ma'am. So since again, being an engineer, now I am able to actually read balance sheets. So after just one term of FRA. So that's a very big achievement for me because now I'm able to. So whenever a company releases a financial report, so I can now easily read and interpret what it is trying to tell me. So that's something which I have never thought I would do that. And in addition to that, even the way a communication should be done in an effective way is something very important, and I have learned it the right way here.
Great. Himadri?
I so agree. Being an engineer and subject of finance was something that was scary. But then we all have really worked up well, thanks to the CAs, of course, in the class. They have really made it easy, and the professors, of course. Apart from that, I myself see transformation in myself, that I am able to put my thoughts in a very particular line. I know how to have a clear and crisp communication. Some learnings which I will carry for an eternity, if I would say. And there are so many aspects of job that I was unaware about. And now even I can put my own perspectives, linking it with what I study on the table. That really feels heard, my voice is heard. That really counts in. So it really helps.
Nikita?
So I echo with everyone's points. Some learnings that I've learned is the power of the importance of networking. Actually, I've never felt that it's so important. But coming here and having an exposure of the people from varied industry backgrounds and learning from their experience, their wisdom, that enhanced learning and networking is very enriching. And yes.
Okay. Ajit?
Yeah, Professor, I touched upon a couple earlier in an earlier answer, but I work in financial strategy, and usually, generally, corporate communication, the thumb rule is say as little as you need to on a need to know basis. Especially if you work in the finance team, you want to tell as little as possible, but a better understanding of that came in at a very timely in a very timely manner for me, because this course began in September and we had a major restructuring planned in December. We were actually able to structure communication that makes our employees feel more involved, even though we couldn't give them perfect information just yet, and turns out they appreciated it.
Okay. Ishan, any thoughts?
Sure, ma'am. So, I mean, just to, sum it up properly, I would say that, Hitesh has mentioned the finance part of it. For me, it was more of an integration, right? Because, you're learning finance, you're learning strategy as well. We even got to learn a little bit of how contracts work and, the sort of the fundamentals of forming contracts. So, getting all that together, because when you're working in a small business, you don't have all the resources which you may need in times of crisis, right? So you can actually at least maintain your composure, maintain your calm, and tackle a situation head on, because you've seen that happening in a case, or you've seen that happening, from a fellow batchmate, and he shared that, or he or she has shared that experience with you. So frankly, I would say even the 137 other batchmates I have, I can easily reach out to one of them and ask for advice. And we do that many, many times. So, other than our VSL library, which is probably the most well-known library in India, this 137 strong batch, 138 strong batch is a library in itself.
Certainly, and our campus library is a beautiful, beautiful place. So what I hear from all of you, what is my takeaway from the discussion you guys are having, that internal motivation is one of the major driving factor. It's not an easy journey. I think all of you are admitting that it's not an easy choice that you have made, but it's the internal motivation. It's a motivation to upskill yourself, to progress in your career, and also the support of family and the support of cohort, right? To me, these three things are really standing out, that is helping you moving forward in this journey. So with that, I'll hand over the mic or stage to Professor Joshi to kindly share his thoughts, and if there is any query he would like to address.
Yeah, thank you, Chitra, and the students out there who had a very genuine and candid conversation. I think a lot of wrinkles that I also didn't really have much of an idea what is at the backstage, and getting you to really balance everything that came up. I was listening very well to all of that, and I'm very happy to know that there is so much of support within the cohort, and you have perfect understanding with the triad that you have to deal with your boss, your family, and us. So I think that's being well managed. I thought I'll just sort of make some commentary on some general questions that came about. Quite a few questions. Thank you for the audience for posting all that. But I thought I'll just sort of make them scheme into three areas. I think one of the common concerns were actually about what is the equivalence of, shall I pursue a PGPX versus a BPGP? Shall I pursue a 2-year MBA? So that kind of a comparison seemed to be, sort of running them in the minds of a lot of people. I would say that academically, rigor-wise, learning outcomes, no difference. The difference is in terms of, what is the via media through which you're learning. Here it is, predominantly digital, and as would be testified by the students, it seemed to be increasingly no difference. And there is a significant amount of convergence on the learning experience when complemented with the classes that are going on campus. However, as all of you would know, that in this program, we do not really provide an active end of the course placement, as it is for the other programs where the students are on campus, captives here, without their work. But there is nothing that prevents the batch. And the whole idea of the program is to provide what I call as career acceleration. One is to really take you step up and go on a high pedal and reach where you are with a much lower amount of gas, given the fact that you're learning so much here. So therefore, the organization and the system will recognize it, and the institute and the student cohort is committed to make sure that we evangelize about the program to the corporate, to really illustrate the kind of learning and value addition that the participants are undergoing. That will genuinely lead to career growth. And of course, the batch is free to leverage learnings, resources, IIMA network, to really do the best that they want to do to improve their career. So there is no shackle. The only difference is, unlike an end of graduation placement season that we do for other programs, we don't do that here because most of you are already working. And it is quite possible that not more than 20% of the batch is desirous of shifting their career very quickly. It is different for a PGPX in our own experience, because in for one reason or the other, the participants are not very happy continuing on the same career gradient, which is why they've left and came here. Whereas the sense that I have, students can probably, I can double check with them, they actually love their career. If they did not like it and love it, they would have actually said to, I hang my hat and then go somewhere else. So therefore, I think the preference is to stay back on the career and, move ahead in time. So that's the key difference. If you look at credit comparison, input, learning, there is no difference. In fact, the BPGP program has more credit in courses than PGPX, given the fact that we have the luxury of 2 years. So that is one broad bucket question that came up. The second, which are actually necessarily about the form, I call the form factor of the program. They are as follows. One, what is the degree that you award? The degree that we award is in MBA. What will be written apart from MBA there? It will be written that you have actually undergone this program called blended postgraduate program in management, because we have multiple programs. We have a postgraduate program for people with work, which we call as PGPX. There is a program for freshers, which is called PGP. So we distinguish across programs. The word online, which existed, is no more there, because we thought this is a unique kind of offer that we're making, which is very distinct from online. So we took the courageous step of, rebranding a program in a year's time, because we thought that traffic is getting really very tight and crowded out in that space. That's one. The second is, what will be your status at the end of the program? Do you get alumni status as any other program? Yes, this is a authentically degree granting program, so we don't distinguish between one alumni and the other, and you would be able to apply for anything that you would require for a master's. The IIMA, by the Act of Parliament, is allowed to really award degrees, and this is a genuinely awarded degree, so there is no difference between that and the other. The third is about what we call as the instructional demands and the time and so on. That's the third form factor that I think is recurring here. Our recordings are easily available. And what if we are late to the class, then shall we just miss that and so on. I think, why what we call as the online programs are failing is because the uptake from watching something which is already going through is very low. The intensity of that is not really touching the minds, and not doing the transformation, right? Therefore, experiencing is learning. If you don't experience it, there is no point in actually being there. So therefore, having said that, IIMA puts, its nose down and say that, no, you can't really get access to recordings, because learning is something that you experience with the input from your cohort, from the instructors, and that is lasting learning. The decay of that learning is very low. In fact, some of the students, commented here that they will be able to really remember the case as a story that went through. And that is, that is sort of etched into your mind, and that's going to be there, it's baked. So I think that's the experience that you want, we want you to have. Therefore, recordings are not easily made available. Now, having said that, if there is, for any reason, there is a genuine, instance where you had to really stay away from the class, we have certain provisions for making that available to you, right? We are not really cold-blooded cruels who are sitting here and saying that we run this rule book, not really. So there is inherent flexibility and genuineness in the whole delivery of the program. So that's the third, I thought. The fourth is like, oh yeah, shall we have the class a little earlier, Thursday, Friday, IT in Bangalore works a little late, and then we have to really jostle through traffic to reach home, and we reach late. Can we really do something about it? I think we did a lot of push and pull on this. Last year had been thinking through this, and we thought we have settled into a quiet equilibrium. Therefore, sadly to say now, changing that is hard. We will start at 6:30 on these days and go that. And I think if the going gets tough, the tough gets going, right? Somewhere, if you are able to really please the triads, then I think really getting into the 630 may not be very hard. That's what we find. The last one that I thought is actually about scholarships. See, IIMA is extremely generous in giving scholarships. You know that PGP, I think 50% of the students are covered with some scholarship. In PGPX, a fair number of students are also covered with scholarships. The difference is the board takes the strong view. Here are students who are actually working and they are already filing their tax returns. And if we were to really support scholarship for them, it wouldn't really look, really very great for the institution's mission. So therefore, those who are actually giving up job and coming here, we're extending scholarships so far. There is, which is why we're not offering scholarships right now. I think last point that was about form factors. Are the faculty the same, right? Are we advertising someone and then sending someone else to classroom? That's not true. The commitment to this program is as high as any other, and the kind of resources that we have deployed to make sure that the candidates have great learning experience. It's the same faculty who are teaching, and in many ways, the extent of commitment and effort is very different. It's not an online program in that sense. We don't want to call it that way, because we want the students to feel being part of the campus while they are away for most part of their time. And when they are away, we reach out to them through the meetups and other things, right? So therefore, it's a high interaction program that we have. Okay.
I'll just add two things. One is somebody was asking BPGP or PGP or PGPX. I would say it's like asking a parent which of your baby is favorite, and you will, ask us to play with that or engage with that baby more. But for us, all these three are offerings from the institute. You choose what works the best for you, right? Depending upon your profile, your flexibility. This is another flower in our bouquet. And second, about people saying that time management, or if I come late. I forgot who was sharing, maybe one of the panelists or some other student was sharing that earlier they were driving themselves to the office. Now they have hired drivers, so the drive time is saved and their mental bandwidth is saved, and they're using that time more constructively. So what I'm trying to say by this example is people are figuring out, right, how to manage everything so that they are not late to the class, they're also well prepared to the class, and they are not also stressed because of their personal or professional life, right? So people are figuring it out. I think that's the great way, and I think you look for solutions when you are really driven. Rather than looking at problems, you are basically getting into a very solution-oriented mindset. At least that is what I am learning from this batch, right? I think this batch is doing exceptionally well on that front.
I think the last point that I will clarify, I think there's a whole mystery around, why the term BPGP? Why can't someone directly use the term MBA? The reason why we called it BPGP is all programs at IIMA, before we were granting degree by the enactment in the parliament, they were all called postgraduate programs. And the PGP actually is recognized to a greater degree in terms of its balance and equity in the market than an MBA. So we thought if we are actually offering a triad of programs at IIMA, one for those who are in the work along with the work, one for those who are already worked and want to really take a break, and one those who want to start their work, right? That's what PGP, PGP, PGPX, and PGP are. We thought that the three letters are very important, and we cannot really lose that lowest common multiplier. So we decided to keep PGP as the mantra and just keep adding or, deleting a letter here and there, either at the beginning or the end. That's what we did everywhere, which is why BPGP is used. But nothing prevents anyone from claiming that this is MBA because the degree awarded is MBA. It's just because, culturally we are recognizing the three words PGP far better than any other. Thank you.
Yeah. I think.
We have.
So are we concluding now?
Yes.
That's right. Yeah.
So I think we have been able to cover most of the queries which came online, but I'm sure there are a few which we have not yet answered. So you can always reach out to our office and we'll be very happy to answer those queries. Also take out some time to go through the website, and it will give you the complete details of the cohort and the first year batch. and it will give you fair idea, and most of the queries which are quite general in nature, which will be addressed if you, go through the website. And in the end, I must thank everybody who attended this, and I'm sure this was useful for everyone. And thank you for the panel. Actually, we at a very short notice, they got together with Professor Singla, and it was a very it was I think the first of its kind for this batch or for this program. And we hope we will keep having these, and this is not necessarily during the admission process, but also on other topics also we will keep ideating on this, and we will keep having these kinds of interactions. Thank you.
Great, thank you to all the panelists, and I truly appreciate you taking time out, and I'm very proud of what all you are achieving with multiple hats you all are wearing. So all the best and more power to each one of you. Thank you.